Now let us start with the design. So all the details of the forces are given in the table as said in the previous video. So first we will start with design of rafter. Let us start with design of rafter. Okay, so in the table they have mentioned the members for the rafter. I have written members AB, GF, BC, FE, GD and ED. So for these members length is given in meters. All the length for each member is same, that is 2.31, and the forces are given in kilonewton. It is 240, 210 and 160, and also the nature is given. It is compression, compression and compression. So the rafter is subjected to compression type of force. So here, instead of designing all the 6 members individually, what we will do is we will select the maximum force, this one. So this is our maximum force, and we will select the maximum length, all are same. So the design forces, I will select only the maximum one and I will design that. So whatever design if I do for the critical member, if it is safe for that member, and the same thing if I provide to the other members, automatically it will be same for the other members as well. So the maximum force, I will write it down here, 240 kilonewton, and length 2310 EML. So it is compression type of force. So for this load and for this length, I have to design a rafter, or I have to design the top chord members. Now the next step is assume FCD, that is design compressive stress. Now to design this, to design a compression member, I have to select a trial section from the steel table. There are many sections available. So instead of checking one by one and checking whether it is safe or not, I will assume the value of FCD. So when we are designing a truss member, simply we can assume the values like, so if it is a single angle compression member, and depending upon the load and experience, we can assume FCD anywhere in between 90 to 150 MPa, or if it's a double angle and if the load is more, you can assume FCD anywhere in between 150 to 200 MPa. No matter whatever FCD you assume, you have to select this section and then you have to check whether the load carrying capacity of this section which you have selected from the steel table is greater than this 240 kilonewton or not. So whatever section you select, whatever assumption you do, it doesn't matter. whatever section you select, its load carrying capacity, which we will check in the next step, has to be greater than the maximum force. Now in our case the maximum force is 240 kilonewton. We need to factor this. So maximum force is 240 into 1.5, that is factored maximum force is 360 kilonewton. So whatever section we select, it has to be greater than 360 kilonewton. It's a trial and error method. Now from the steel table we need to select the section. So for that I will assume FCD value of 180 MPa. So once we assume the FCD value, we know design compressive strength PD is given by FCD into area. So this is the strength, which is nothing but stress into area. We know stress is nothing but strength by load by area. The same thing we are doing here. It's the strength which is equal to the stress into area. Strength we know, whatever section we choose, whatever section we select, it has to carry a load of greater than 360 kilonewton. So whatever section we select, it should be having a load carrying capacity of more than 360 kilonewton. So 360 kilonewton into FCD, which we have assumed 180, into area required. So we know the strength, we know that we have assumed the stress, so easily we can calculate the area required. So therefore area required is equal to 2000 mm square. So this much area is required. So now we have a idea, a rough estimate about the how much area is required of the steel section, so that it can take a load of 360 kilonewton. So now depending upon this area, we need to select the section from the steel table. So the next step, selection of section from steel table. So now let us open the steel table and we need to select the section. So let us select a double angle section. Double angle section. Usually for rafter and bottom chord member, like here, if this is the truss, here we select double angles. We usually provide double angles, and if there is an inner compression member, we provide single angles. So the design procedure for double angle is different, and for single angle eccentrically loaded, it is different. So for rafters, let us provide a double angle section from the steel table. Let us select ISA to ISA 80 80 12. So this is the section which we are selecting. The details of this are given in the steel table. So you write it down, all the problem, and refer the steel table and cross check all the values which I am writing here. So for 2 ISA 80 80 12, I need area. That area is called as area provided. This area was area required. So whatever I am providing, it has to be greater than 2000. It is better to select at least double the value so as to be safe. We need to remember whatever section we select, it has to be safe as well as it has to be economical. So both are equally important. So I need area of the selected section, then I need RXX value, then I need RYY value. So I will check it in the still table and I will write it down. So I have written the area for the selected section is 3562 mm square, RXX is 23.9 mm, and RYY is also given in the steel table. For 10 mm gusset plate I have assumed 10 mm gusset I have assumed the value is given in steel table. For 10 mm it is 37.7 mm. So minimum radius of gyration, that is R minimum, is lesser of RXX or RYY. So here in this case RXX is 23.9, RYY is 37.7, so the lesser one is 23.9 mm. So this value is important for us. So this is the minimum radius of gyration, and this is the area which we are providing. Next, step 4. Once we have selected the section, let us find the effective length. Let us find the effective length, that is KL. So as per IS 800/2007, for the members of the trusses in compression, that is for the struts, so the effective length value can be taken as per IS 800/2007, that is the value of KL anywhere in between 0.7 to 1. So let us assume KL value to be 0.85, sorry, K value 0.85. So therefore KL will be 0.85 into the length of the member, that is 2310, which is equals to 1963.5 mm. So this is the effective length we have. Next, we have got the R minimum and we have the value of KL, that is effective length. So let us find slenderness ratio. That is KL by R minimum, which is nothing but 1963.5 divided by 23.9 mm, which comes around 82.15. Okay, so this is the slenderness ratio we have. So once we got the slenderness ratio, we can calculate the FCD. So step 6, design compressive stress. So for angles, as per IS 800/2007, the buckling class along any axis, for angles the buckling class is C for angles. So therefore, referring table number 9C for buckling class C from IS 800/2007, so we will get the value of FCD. So in the table you can just have a look over it. We have got the values for 80 and for 90 we need the value of 82.15. So the values of FCD given. So for KL by R ratio of 80 for 80, the value of FCD for FY 250 MPa. If it is not given in the question, you assume the same thing. For FY 250 MPa, for the value of 80, the value is 136, and for 90 KL by R ratio, it is 121. So this thing you have to find. You can do interpolation and find it out, but what I suggest is, instead of wasting time, you take the approximate value. Like for example, for 80 it is 136, for 90 it is 121. So for 85 it will be somewhere around, the difference is 6 plus 9, 15, so 7.5 difference. 136 minus 7.5 for 85, that is 129. Then again for 82.15, that is 2.5, again half of that. So 136 and 129, difference is 7, 3.5. So you can just deduct 3.5 of this. So one FCD what we can take is 132.5 MPa. It is better if you do interpolation, but as the design is lengthy in the exam, if it is nearer, you can just take the approximate value. So now we have got the FCD value. So this is again an important value. So next, step 7, it is design compressive strength. That is PD is given by FCD into area provided. So this we need to find. So FCD for the selected section, we have got its value 132.5 into area provided. For the section from the steel table, it was 3562, which comes around 471 kilonewton, which is greater than 360 kilonewton. The load coming on the rafter, that is, or the load coming on the compression member, was 360 kilonewton. This section which we are providing is 471 kilonewton. Its load carrying capacity is 471 kilonewton. So therefore it can safely take a load of 360 kilonewton. So therefore it is safe. So next we need to provide the connection. So now let us provide the connection. That is step 8. Let us provide bolted connections. If it is not mentioned in the question, we can assume it directly. So here in the question it is not mentioned anything, so let us assume M20 bolts with grade 4.6. So for these bolts we have a double angle which is connected back to back like this. Like this. It is 80. This is 80. Thickness is 12 mm. Gusset plate thickness we have assumed it to be 10 mm. So for this, diameter of bolt it is M20, so that means the diameter of bolt is 20 mm. For 20 mm clearance is diameter of bolt hole, that is DH. Clearance is 2 mm, so diameter of bolt hole is 22 mm. Here it is grade 4.6, that means ultimate strength of the bolt is 400. So FUB value, that is ultimate strength of the bolt, is 400 MPa. So we need to find the bolt value. So bolt value is lesser of first one, shear strength of the bolt, or bearing strength. Or bearing strength. So first let us find the shear strength. Of bolt as given in IS 800 2007, which is given by VDSB equals to FUB by root 3 NN into ANB plus NS into ASB. So here FUB is 400 MPa. Grade is given in the question. Grade is given 4.6. If it is 5.6, that means FUB value is 500. If it is 8.6, FUB ultimate strength of the bolt means 800. So here it is 4.6, so FUB value is 400. Now let us see what these terms are, NN and NS. So for any bolt, the bolt will be like this. If I draw a sketch of a bolt, it will be like this. This is the bolt, this is the head. The bolt will have an area of threads like this. You would have seen it. This part is called as thread, and this part is called as shank. So here the area of the thread will be slightly lesser than the strength. We call it as 20 to 22% lesser. So we assume it to be 0.78%, that is 78%. Fine. Now NN stands for number of shear planes in the thread, and NS stands for number of shear planes in the shank area. Now when I put this bolt in the drawing here, say if I put it here like this, this is the bolt we have, this is how I am doing the connection. Fine. Now when it is loaded, when these angles are loaded, there are chances that this bolt will cut at this location, right? This bolt will cut at this location, here it will cut, or it will cut at this location when it is loaded. In shear, the bolt will cut off. So when it is loaded, it will cut in this location, or it will cut in this location. Now when I am providing threads for the bolt, if the threads starts from here, that means this shear plane, that is the area where the bolt will cut, if the threads lies in that area, that means NN is 1. And if this area falls under the shear plane where it is shank, that means NS is 1. So total it is 2. This bolt will cut at this location, and it will cut at this location. So total shear planes we have 2 numbers. So among these two, we need to see where threads are lying, where shank is lying. So here in this problem, it's a bolt, it will have 2 shear planes, so we will assume the threads are lying in this area and shank is lying in this area. So that means we will assume NN equals to 1 and NS equals to 1. Fine. Now substituting all these values, we will get, this whole divided by partial safety factor gamma m b, that is 1.25. The value of gamma mb, I will write it down here, gamma mb 1.25. So substituting everything, we will get the value of VDSB, which is equals to, and before that A and B is 0.78 times pi d square by 4, that is area in thread slightly lesser, and ASB is directly complete, there is no reduction there, pi d square by 4. where D is the diameter of the bolt. It comes around 103 kilonewton. So this is the value of the bolt in shear. That means when the load reaches this value, one bolt will fail in shear. Now let us find the bearing strength of the bolt. So as per IS 800 2007, the bearing strength of the bolt is given by VDPB equals to 2.5 times KB DTFU whole divided by 1.25, that is partial safety factor. Next, KB is lesser of either E by 3 D naught or DH P by 3 D naught minus 0.25, third one FUB by FU, or fourth one 1. So it's a KB is a coefficient which is lesser of these four things. Here E is edge distance, which is 1.7 times minimum edge distance, 1.7 times the diameter of bolt hole, which comes around, we have the diameter of bolt is 20, so 20 into 1.7, say 40 mm. And P is pitch distance, minimum pitch distance, 2.5 times the diameter of bolt, that is 50 mm. So substituting these values, so after substituting we have 0.0606, 0.50, 0.97 and 1. So therefore lesser one we need to select, that is KB equal to 0.50. Now as we know, we have the formula VDPB equals to 2.5 times KB DTFU divided by partial safety factor. Value of KB we got, D is 20 mm, FU is 410 MPa, and partial safety factor is 1.25. The remaining term is T. So now if I draw the figure here, if I draw the double angle figure here, so this is gusset plate and these are the angles. This thickness is 12 mm, gusset plate thickness is 10 mm, this is 12 mm. T stands for thickness of summation of thickness of the members bearing in the same direction. So for bearing to occur between this angle and this gusset plate, this angle has to move in this direction. It has to move in this direction, right? It has to move in this direction. And if it is moving in this direction, if bearing has to occur, then it has to move in the other direction, say in this direction. So if this angle is moving in this direction, this angle for bearing to occur, again it has to move in this direction. So T stands for summation of bearing thicknesses in the same direction. So in one direction, in this direction, that is in upwards, say in upward, this angle is bearing and this angle is bearing. The summation of thickness is 12 plus 12, that is 24 mm. And in the opposite direction, only gusset plate is moving. So one more T, say we'll call it as T1 and T2, it is 10 mm. So when the angles are subjected to load, this gusset plate will fail because it has lesser thickness. So this is critical one. If gusset plate fails, again all the structure will fail. So in the design we need to consider the lesser value. So if it is safe for this, again it will be safer for this also. So we need to select the critical one. So T is 10 mm. So substituting all these values in the formula of VDPB, we will get VDPB equals to 128 kilonewton. So that means when the load reaches, the bolt will fail in bearing when the load reaches 128 kilonewton. So in shear it was 103, in bearing it is 128. So we need to take the critical one, we need to take the shear strength. So therefore the bolt value is 103 kilonewton. So now we can easily find out the number of bolts. So therefore number of bolts are load by bolt value. So therefore load was 360 kilonewton, bolt value is 103 kilonewton, so which comes around 4 numbers. So 4 number of bolts we need to provide in the connection. So now for the rafter we have decided to use 2 ISA 80-80-12 with 4 numbers of M20 grade 4.6 bolts. So now the design of rafter is over, that is top chord members is over. So in the next video we shall see how to design the bottom chord members. Those are tension members. So let us design those members in the next video.